So in this video we're going to look at why capitalism tends to cause inequality. So first of all we need to define what we're looking at in terms of capitalism. So capitalism solves the fundamental economic problem, scarcity and choice, by having a system where there are free markets, where the allocation of resources is determined by demand and supply, based on private ownership of capital. And it has minimal government intervention. So the state will provide defence, law and order, and importantly enforce contracts, which of course is a problem in some countries, particularly developing countries. Anyhow, within the capitalist system, which is dominated for several centuries throughout the modern period, it results in quite significant inequality. And that's the one downfall of capitalism, along with the economic cycle and cyclical unemployment. Partly because of a profit motive. So the profit motive is incredibly important because it motivates entrepreneurs to set up businesses to take risks, where they combine the factors of production, labour, land, capital, in order to make a profit, in order to meet consumer needs, so they hopefully make a profit. And if they're successful, or some might say lucky, then they'll make large profits. But of course, entrepreneurs often suffer from competition, and so that encourages them to innovate, to produce research and development, but it particularly also encourages them to cut costs. So they could increase productivity to cut costs, but they also could force down wages to cut costs. And this enables them to make greater profits. So those greater profits are a form of income and generate inequality, of course. And also, if they have monopoly power, they can make greater profits by driving up prices. Some would say exploiting consumers by driving up prices, and as a result of a monopoly position. So they make greater profits, therefore creating greater inequality. Now another, of course, a good aspect is the innovation and the drive to increase productivity as a result of competition. But say there's no competition, then you've got this problem of monopoly power. Another aspect of the capitalist system is that wages for labour are determined by the forces of demand and supply, so that the different wages provide different incentives for people to produce work effort and work hard, to aim for a well-paid job. Okay, so this provides wages and wage incentives, but it of course causes inequality. So if you're in high demand relative to supply, like some footballers and leaders of large corporations, then wages tend to be very high. Equally, if you're a cleaner or a worker in a burger bar like McDonald's, then you're in a situation of relatively high supply compared to demand, and therefore you tend to have lower wages. So quite naturally, as a result of the force of demand and supply, wages tend to disperse, tend to have increasing wages for those that are relatively scarce, and where there's a glut of labour, lower and lower wages. So you get this significant source of inequality for labour. Also, if you happen to be ill or sick, injured, disabled or unemployed as a result of a downswing in the economic cycle, then basically what are you going to do? You have to rely on charity, rely on your past savings, or maybe you will starve. Okay? So this is obviously a big issue within a capitalist system. And particularly if firms have monopoly power, which is buying power, they can take advantage of the situation where there's no countervailing force. There are no trade union rights within a pure capitalist system, and therefore wages are pushed down further. Karl Marx argued that these would be pushed down to starvation levels. So you have this huge diversity of wages and inequality within the capitalist system. And thirdly, we've got this problem with inheritance. So In a capitalist system, you can inherit wealth, you can pass on private property, which means that people can receive income from that private property with no effort whatsoever, if they're second or third generation. And also this tends to reduce equality of opportunity for those that don't receive property. So this tends to accentuate the resulting inequality of wealth. Those with wealth can generate more wealth and pass it on. Those without wealth would lose out in terms of equality of opportunity. Okay, so I hope this provides some of the key reasons why the profit motive and the demand and supply through the labour market for wages create inequality within a capitalist system. So thank you for watching.